All right, so let's just go ahead and try to implement what I was talking about in the last video. So what we want is, first of all, I want to have an on-click event here so that we can toggle the checkbox state. So whenever I click on this, the checkbox should turn tick and then not tick, So one way you can obviously think about is the way we will get this value is from props, right? But how do we pass this prop? Because you can see label is a component, and ideally you would think this is how you would do, right? And you are right, this is how you would actually do it in a real world setting. But the problem is, like I said, we don't really want to uglify this experience, because then what's the point of using this whole compounded stuff, right? So the way we want to this happen is that this all should internally share the state, right? And one way to do about that is check out this parent. So both of them have the same parent tag with themselves. So what does that mean? That means that you can share some sort of state in the parent itself. So I'm going to do a couple of things. First of all, I'm going to make this as a controlled component. So I'm going to say checked, set checked, as use state, and let's say true. I'm going to say this as checked value as checked. I'm going to say on change event is set checked e.target.checked, right? Not check validity, just checked, right? And let's just go ahead and import use state so that it does not complain that to us. And you can see on change set target e.target.checked, and you can see whenever I click on this, it toggles perfectly fine, just like before. Now what I want is that I want this toggle to appear, because right now if you click on this, nothing is going to happen, and it probably is logging some errors or something, or maybe not. I don't know why, because let's see, .log toggle. So this is undefined. So yeah, I mean on click gets undefined, so nothing happens. So what we want to do is that we want to introduce this toggle function, and the way we can do it is inside the parent element, just like I said. But the way you do introduce a prop without actually passing inside the declaration of the prop is that you can technically override the props here using something known as react.children. Now react.children is an inbuilt utility from React itself, which would allow you to iterate on every single child inside of the map thing. So what this is, let me just go ahead and write the syntax real quick, and then I can explain you in a much better way. If I go ahead and do log console child and return nothing, if I go ahead and very well, we do not have React as defined. That's a new thing. So if I go ahead and check the log, and you need to pass the children prop, because this is what it will take and iterate over every single one of them. So the moment you do it, you can see that you get two objects like these, and these objects might seem very, very familiar if you have watched the React Basics course, in which we discuss how fundamentally JSX elements are created. And this is in fact a JSX element, right? You can see it has got the props, it has got the key, it has got ref, it has also got the type, which might look familiar to, the function of that particular element. So there's that. So we can mess around with this, and you can see that if we try to integrate a prop within itself, if we try to add a prop, so I can say child.prop.hello is equal to world, and then we can return child, right? And then we are finally returning this collection of children, so that's perfectly fine. But you see, the moment I do that, you can see we get an error that cannot set property hello of undefined. So that's a different error. But even if you do props right here, you will still get an error which says cannot add property hello, object is not extensible. So the reason it happens is because React internally does not allow you to change props like this, right? Because it might have its own mechanisms of watching and registering some sort of props or whatever it is. But what React allows you to do is clone this element first of all. So we can say clone is react.clone element, and then I pass in this child, right? Now when you're cloning it, you can also pass it a bunch of props, that is the props it should accept. So of course you want the prop it should accept. The first one is, let's say if you want to try it out, hello and world. So if I go ahead and do that, refresh, you can see it now works fine, and of course it will, because we are not returning the clone. So now it works fine, but what you will be able to see is that now we have access to a new prop in both label, hello, like this, and inside the checkbox input as well. So I can just go ahead and show you that this is in fact working. You can see we get two worlds right here with the hello prop, because we are injecting it inside of the react.clone element, which is the new child, and then we return the clone, and then we finally return the whole collection. So we can do something like all children, if that is clear, and then we can return all children, right? This is one and the same thing. So you map over all the children which are passed, and the reason you need this functionality is because you can have multiple childs as well as single child as well as a child property which is passed. So React takes care of all of that, right? So it abstracts away the logic of iterating over an array or a single JSX element, and you don't really have to worry about that. So you just get a single function which is executed again and again for all the child elements. So the moment you do this, something like this, you can see now you have access to the hello prop, even though you never really passed it like this, right? So even if you try to pass it right now, you're going to see that it does not really work, because you override it internally like this. So we can make use of this to our advantage to a little bit extent, and the way we will do this is we will move this checkbox input state a little bit above, right? So we will add the state right here, and right here we're going to say checked and set checked as the passed values, right? So once we do that, you're going to see that now I can access set and check set like this, get rid of the hello which we had, get rid of this unnamed component, and pretty much this remains the same. The only difference which has now happened is that we also have access to set checked here, which is pretty cool, right? Along with children, obviously, children, right? And now what I can do is inside the toggle state, I can say set checked is state, and I just return the not of that state, right? So I hope you understand what's happening here. If not, we'll just go over through this one more time. So what's happening here is now if I can click on this checkbox label, you can see the toggling still happens. Although these are separate components, right? Still they are sharing, they are able to share the state. So just to go over through what exactly we did, first of all, we created a checkbox component, which is the parent of label and checkbox input. Checkbox right here accepted children as the property, which included both of them. We iterated over these children, and for every child we cloned it first of all and passed in two props, right? The first one is checked, second one is set checked, which is basically the state of the main checkbox thing. The moment we pass these two props to every child, now the checkbox input and the label can access both of them. Well, they also can access the children, and the children property is something like this, right? If you want to make use of it, you can. That gets automatically added when you clone the element, so that's not a problem. So the children property allows you to do something like this. Now, once you have checked and set checked in checkbox, your checkbox input can work fine independently, but you can also get the checked set checked property inside your label and then toggle the state like you want to, right? Like it always have worked. So I hope this makes things a little bit more clear. In the next video, we're going to be building a little bit more on this, try to understand exactly how this will work with, let's say, DOM elements. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to see you in the next one.